inspiration is everywhere. I find it all around, and I make a lot of visual connections by keeping my eyes and mind open to everything I see. And it leads a lot into my design. My biggest inspiration would have to be my father, Serge Chermayeff, who always encouraged me in everything that I did. No matter what piece of garbage I did at age 4, or whatever it is, scribbling and making messes and all of that kind of thing, he would always say it was really great. And that was true of everything that I did, no matter what. And that makes a tremendous difference, because instead of stopping you from doing whatever you're doing, you want to do more because you want to make your own man happy. So that was very important, and that continued all through his life. He was very well known as an educator in architecture, having ended up at Harvard and Yale, which was a lot for somebody who never studied architecture in his life. Everything he knew, he taught himself. We went and lived all over this country. Chicago, San Francisco, New Orleans, and we moved everywhere. I've been in every state in the Union, I think, pretty much. I went to a lot of schools. I believe it was 24 in a lifetime. I went to Andover. That was the one I was at the longest of any of them. I went there for the whole 4 years, and I was very involved in painting and drawing, and I wouldn't call it design exactly. It was very free-spirited, and it was supported, and we were allowed to do it in a free and open way, and it was very helpful. So when I got to Harvard, I realized that life is short. So I'm not going to stay here for 4 years because I don't care about a degree. I'm not interested in a degree. It's going to have nothing to do with my future. I told him that I wanted to take professors, regardless of subject matter, across the university. I had great teachers. I had Arthur Schlesinger Jr. I took his classes, and Piotr Sorokin, who was an old Russian, who gave a course in altruism, which nobody in their right mind would want, but he was a great, great teacher, one of the best I've ever had. I went to the Institute of Design in Chicago. It was sort of like a workshop of a school where we were all experimenting with design problems of one kind or another, and it was very good. So I would just transfer it to Yale, and that was very, very nice, because the people that I admired the most were around. Paul Rand, Herman Matter, the photographer, was on the faculty, and it was a very lively place, and we had a great time, and we never left school practically. There's nothing like classmates who are serious and talented and good to get you going. Then I spent the next 7 years recovering from my education. I was essentially trying to define what design really meant for me. You gotta remember, in those days, there was no such thing as the expression graphic design. Graphic design, emerged later in the 50s and 60s is when that really became an expression. There was no courses in that anywhere. There was a lot of painting and sculpture and all kinds of stuff, but not really design. Design is all about seeing. You've got to learn how to see and make connections that are not necessarily obvious and not by any rules or anything like that, but just visual connections. In my opinion, most people are incapable of seeing very much compared to what they could if they were interested in training themselves to look around and make connections, which can cover the full gamut of being very minor. Maybe it's just noticing a small color connection or the tiniest kind of thing that brings two things together into an intimate connection for a moment. That's extremely important somehow, I find. Everybody I admire who inspires me are artists that make great connections. I found the early masters, Braque and Picasso and Juan Gris and all these guys to be extraordinarily inventive about form and shape and bringing things into a lively connection. Picasso particularly had the ability to put things together that was sort of automatically better than anybody else would do it. I considered one of my best friends was, because I loved everything he did, was a Japanese designer called Iko Tanaka. He and I, for years, whatever we did anything, we would send it to each other. We just liked what the other one was doing. It's very inspirational to have an intimate connection with somebody that you trust what he's looking at and what he's seeing, and focus your attention on it and recognize that it's worth looking at. I can't sit still, so I make things. I'm always making collages because they're fast. I just prefer scissors to brushes. My biggest mentor is not exactly a mentor, but the beacon of light about design. It would be Paul Rand for any number of reasons.
Don't try to be original, just try to be good. That sounds sort of naive, but it's true. Without aesthetics, you can't find the truth. To do things with quality.
Basically, he never did anything I didn't think was pretty damn good. And that's not something I could say about all kinds of good people. I'm aware who may have done dozens of good things, but they did a few terrors. But he did a volume of stuff which was fantastic and inspirational. Tom Geismar and I were classmates, and that so it goes back a while, because Tom and I have been together for close to 60 years. Been at Yale together and decided to do our business in 1956. And we have a way of working, which is to have a completely open understanding that we can contribute to what the other one's doing at his desk. And we have a completely open discussion about everything we're working on. And that's what we do. Half the time when a company asks you to do something, they don't tell you what they really need accurately. So you have to redefine what it is that they think they want and turn it into reality, and that's our job. You have to make a case for it. You have to think it through in terms of what it's all about, and it can be as simple as finding a relationship between two letters that in the alphabet or in the typeface that are original and work. Things that you can build on and make something out of. That's what makes it exciting. Graphic design is all about audience, after all. You have to find out what the truth of the matter is, and then convince your clients that that's really what the problem is, which is not to say that they told you something wrong, but they don't tell you adequately what it's all about. Because if they were capable of doing that, they'd just do it themselves. An example of how it works would be mobile. The alphabet, the logo, and the red O of mobile that we did, I think that has held up extremely well. It is known to everybody in the world. It is a business confirmation of the fact that we did a good job. I have 3 daughters, Mara and Sasha and Catherine. They're all creative people. Sam is an architect in Berlin, and Jane has been very supportive. We've been together nearly 40 years, so that's a long time. I have no intention of retiring ever. Tom and I are both in our 80s, and who knows? We could drop dead at any time. I had no intention of lying around to have people waving fans over us while we decline. So we're going to stay and work as long as we can. What more can you ask?